Good evening and welcome to the unboxing video of my Vevor cream separator. I got this cream separator just because I ended up having too much milk. Okay, let's get this opened up and keep going here. Looks like we have an owner's manual, a power cord that also goes into the adapter there. Some accessories. So there's screws, a brush, a wrench, and a couple other things. We'll have to look at the manual. Spouts. Alright, it's pretty simple. We have the motor unit here. That thing's heavy. That's about 20-25 pounds. And then we have various sieves and funnels that will help to separate the cream. Okay, there we go. And we'll move up to the counter now. Alright, so now I have everything here set up on the counter. We're going to go ahead and assemble this. It's pretty easy as far as assembly goes. You have the base of it, which is called the host. The host has got 3 screws in here. 1, 2, and 3. This actually adjusts the depth. You can tighten these down using the little tip of the wrench here. So once I like the height of that base, I'm just going to screw those in. As far as I found out, this is not a centering unit for this, and it also does not affect, the height does not affect the operation of the entire unit that I'm aware of at this point. Next is going to be the drum, or the separation pump. This is actually the pump part that separates the cream. Now I'm going to show you a little thing down inside of here. This is let's see if you can see it here. There is a little bar down there inside of the separation pump down inside of there. And so I'm going to match that up with the slit that is on top of the host here. So those two things go together, and that is what causes the drum to move. Okay. Of note on the drum is that little spout there. That little spout is actually where the cream comes out once it's separated. So we're going to point this straight this way. I'm going to point that straight at me. And it just clicks down in place like that. Okay? It should float, should kind of float freely. So that's pretty nice there. Next is going to be the milk trough. Of these two, the milk trough is the one with the larger hole here. So put that and press it down. It should fit tightly. I'm picking up on it and lifting the whole unit, so I'm picking up on that, and I can actually lift up the entire unit. Alright, so next we have this little pan here, and it goes just down inside there like that. And this one is for the cream. The cream actually spins up and out of this spout and will pour down this trough. Now you'd think that these are supposed to snap together. They actually don't. They free float, so you can kind of adjust them. Alright, next item is going to be the funnel seat. And then we have that buoy with the legs down. So that's the floating buoy there. And then you are ready to place the bowl on top of the whole unit here. Now, it seems just a little bit kind of on the wobbly side. I don't love it. I mean, I could bump that against my counter and stuff. My hope is that the weight of the milk will actually help stabilize it. Other than that, you feel like those things should snap in, but they do not. So, also of note in the assembly is the rod here. This is the opening and closing mechanism. So that bowl is just an open bowl. until you put the rod in place. And the rod actually opens and closes the milk flow there. It just opens and closes it just like that. Also included, I got an extra O-ring, 4 mounting screws if you want to mount it to a surface or something like that. Haven't tried that yet. And then an extra cream adjuster screw. And we'll talk about that cream adjuster screw here in just a minute. Alright, power source for this is one AC adapter. This adapter has little pinholes here. It goes right here in the front. You'll line up the pinholes and then screw that in. So that secures it just in case you get some movement. Your power source is always attached. And then your actual power cable goes in here. Alright, we'll get this plugged up and move on to the next step. Alright, next step is to warm up the machine. Now we're warming up the metal components inside the machine so that when your cream goes in there, it does not cool and separate. So I'm just going to take about a half a gallon of hot water. When I say hot water, this is 140, 150 degrees. And we're going to turn the machine on. Let it start warming up. Get this in the bowl. Operating speed of this machine is very, very high. The RPMs are just really, really high. We're going to let the motor run for a good 60 seconds before we open it up. Okay, it looks like it's ready to go. We're going to go ahead and open the spout. Let that water start going through the machine. Hope I put it all together correctly. So we've got good hot water running through the machine, keeping the components nice and warm. We're going to finish up this half gallon and be ready for the cream in just a moment. Okay, so we've got all the water run through and the machine is nice and warmed up. And now I'm just going to take this milk in here. Once again, I've got this closed again. I want to pour it through all at once. Make sure that's at good operating speed. Now this is a nice quiet machine. It's I'm not getting too much vibration. It sounds pretty good. Go ahead and open that up just like that. Get the rest of that water out of there. Alright, we are open and separating. Alright, now I've chosen a thinner setting for my cream today just because I did a thicker setting yesterday and I got about 2 tablespoons of cream and that was it. So you can adjust the thickness. I will address that here in just a moment when we disassemble the machine. The adjuster nozzle is actually down inside the machine, so I definitely want to show you guys that. So you can kind of adjust your cream to whatever thickness you like. By and large, most goats only have between 5 and probably 8 or 9% milk fat anyway, so getting a lot of cream out of a gallon of milk is, you know, not really what we're here for. Mostly goat milk butter, cream for our coffee, stuff like that. Save a little on the grocery bill. Okay, so we are just about finished up inside the bowl there. Won't all come out there, but that's just about it. And it looks like in this half gallon of milk we got it's about 1.5 cups of thin cream. I say thin cream because I adjusted the setting to get a little bit more. You could run this back through if you wanted a thicker cream and, you know, adjust it. By and large, the thicker the cream, the easier it's going to be to make butter out of it. But since this is just cream for coffee, we'll probably run it a little bit thinner. So you're supposed to run it for 60 seconds after everything goes through there, I'm going to go ahead and start disassembling it as the motor is still running, and you just go in reverse order of assembly. I'm going to move everything to a sink full of hot water, and then I'll show you how to reassemble it, or break it down and reassemble it in a moment. Alright, I've let everything run for 60 seconds, and I've taken the top parts off. I took the bowl off. I'm going to go ahead and take the cream trough off. If you're running a heavier cream, you're going to want to clean this around here because there will be a lot of cream left up in here. There'll also be cream on the funnel. So I'm going to wait for that motor to come to a stop before I do any additional disassembly. It's a really high RPM motor, and as you can see, it's still spinning. It's not really super dangerous at this point. You know, you can just kind of put your hand on it and slow it down like that. It's really smooth. There's no catches on it. So, alright, so come down to here. I'm going to take this apart. We're going to take, this is the hardest part of the whole thing to take apart right here, is getting that off. But you just have to pull straight, kind of straight up and angle it. And I use this as kind of a lever here. And so this is your drum. Disassembling the drum. Let's get a good shot of this. It's going to be like this. Take your wrench and take these little spikes on your wrench and use it like a spanner. And get a good grip on it and just unscrew it. And it has a lot of milk in it. Look at that. That is where your cream and your milk actually separate. So the whole top nut actually comes completely off. You're going to remove the housing, and then you have the top plate, and you have 14 little individual discs. Take note that there's a pattern here on the top. You're going to wash every disc and the base, and the base comes apart also. We're going to get all this put in there. That's all cream right there that didn't quite make it all the way to the top. Okay. And then in order to disassemble this, we're just... Actually, that stays right there. Okay, that's one piece. All right. One piece. All right. So we are going to wash all of these, and I'll be back for reassembly in just a moment. Okay, so here we are with everything clean and dry. I just wanted to show you guys how to reassemble the drum before you put it away. Everything else goes back together as in the first assembly instructions, but the drum has been fully taken apart for cleaning and sanitizing, and I want to show you guys how to put that back together correctly. So the first step we've got is we have the base of the drum here. So you want to make sure that the O-ring, this little rubber O-ring here, is clean and it's still in good shape. It should last for a long time. These things typically do. There is a spare in the kit that came with it. So if you need a spare O-ring, that's where that goes. Make sure you keep this. On the base, you'll notice this little knob right here. It's just like a little, kind of a little pillar right there. On top of that pillar, you're going to put this nut. This nut has this little spot right here. And you're just going to line that up so that it clicks into place right there. Nice and tight, so it seats there. Now, next, you have the sieves. All of these little things filter. I have 15 of them here. So 14 of them are exactly alike. There's absolutely no difference between these 14. The 15th has these little rivets on the inside. Now the others will look like they have rivets, or they'll have like these little marks on them or whatever. That is not an actual rivet unless it's all the way through the metal. So these have come all the way through the metal. The reason that's important is because that is the first piece that goes on the tower. Okay? So just looking straight down, we are going to put this on the tower according to that little pattern. Now, the other 14, it does not matter. It does not matter what order they're in as long as they're in the pattern and they fit all the way down. So we'll just get these on here real quick. Alright, and the last one there. Okay. Next we have the drum cap. The drum cap sits securely around here. Of note on the cap at this point is, can you see it? That little hole right there. That's actually where the cream comes out. And we're going to make sure that this little indentation here goes over the cap on the drum housing. And we're going to make sure that we can see that hole. So we're not obscuring the way that the cream comes out of this. And we're going to take the nut. I'm going to tighten it. We can use the spanner wrench. This does not have to be super tight. We're just going to go what we call finger tight. I'm going to give it a good turn. Okay, don't torque it down. Okay, and that is how you reassemble the drum. Okay, it's fully assembled there. Now, of note on the actual base unit, we call this the host unit. I call it the base unit because it's really the base that houses the motor. It's a pretty heavy base. Of note here are a couple items. These screws here, you can unscrew these. You can clean out from under this. So you'll unscrew these. Might want to get a better screwdriver. They sent one, but it's kind of cheap. You can unscrew these all the way and unscrew the base if you want. And then just, these are really shallow screws too. They're just in there for tension to hold the base stable and steady. And then if you wanted to unscrew this right here, you would be able to clean down inside of it. Now, I found that was really only necessary if you spill stuff as you are disassembling. Otherwise, nothing gets down inside here. This is clean. This is where the motor unit is, and it doesn't get like milk down in there or anything. So it stays very clean, actually. So unless you spilled something during your cleanup or during your operation or whatever, you don't actually have to take that apart every time. I do wipe it down with a good sanitized cloth. And then wipe out down the base too, you know, if you've got moisture around it and anything. This little rubber ring, it's kind of a spacer. What it does is just make sure the drum doesn't sit down and rub against this unit here. So we leave it in there. If that gets worn out, they did not send a spare, so you'll probably have to order one from Vevor. So on to the next thing. Okay, so next of note, I wanted to show you this little brass screw right here. So that brass screw right there adjusts how thick your cream is. So I wanted pretty thin cream this time because I wanted volume. So I turned it all the way to the right hand side and then back turned it a quarter turn. And that gave me about 1.5 cups out of 1/2 gallon of goat's milk. Okay, so that's not all cream. That's pretty thin. It's more like 1/2 and 1/2 probably. So if I wanted it thicker, and I do from an extra one, I'm going to take another quarter turn to the left. And this is just going to be something that you experiment with. And again, you may want to get a better flathead or a better screwdriver. You just kind of, there we go, just like that. I'm going to go with another 1/2 turn to the left because I want it just a little bit thicker. Now, thickness is going to decrease my volume. I won't get as much, you know, this time. So when we run it again, we'll see how much that extra quarter turn gets me as far as how much thicker my cream is and how much volume it reduces by. So there we go. You also do have a spare brass nut down in this kit too. The other screws, these longer screws right here, there are holes in the base of the host unit in case you want to screw it down or mount it on a surface. This is my kitchen counter, so we're not going to do that. But maybe someday, I don't know, maybe I'll have a station someday where I process lots and lots of milk. Hopefully, you never know. So anyway, I hope you've joined me, or I hope you've enjoyed the video that I made here. I felt that it was pretty thorough. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I will, you know, if I get any updates or problems with this unit, I'll update the page and let you guys know. I've got all kinds of other things coming up too. We're going to candle the eggs that we put in the incubator a couple weeks ago, and those are about 13, 14 days in, so we're not too far from having baby chicks on those next week, as a matter of fact, and get some other things. So y'all don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.